So these vocabulary words are words that should go into your binder. So you're going to look for each letter, write it in. Our first word is coefficient, so you should go into your notebook, go to the letter C. If you need to, pause the video so you can get there, and you're going to write it in. These words are used throughout your mathematical year this year as well as next year, so it's nice to save it. Coefficient is a number that's multiplied by a variable. So if I told you 5x, the coefficient, I'm going to put a chart here. The coefficient would be 5. If I said a half x, it'd be a half. I could also write just an x, and we don't see a number there, but there is a number out front. It's invisible, and mathematicians are lazy, so we don't always write it in. It would be a 1. So a 1 would be the same that was in there. If I do a negative x, that'd be like a negative 1, a negative 4x, and I could use a variable other than x, but x is my favorite, negative 4. So it's just that numerical portion of whatever is in front of the variable. In your notebook, you're going to turn to the letter E and write in our next word, which is expression. So I'm going to give you an example first of an expression. 4x minus 6. So it does not have an equal sign. Just going to put a symbol instead of a word. You cannot solve for a variable. In order to solve, you need an equal sign. This is going to become really important in our next unit when we have another word. You need to know when I can solve, when I cannot. So an expression means I can't solve because there's no equal sign, and we just simplify them. Which means make them as reduced as possible. That one is as reduced as possible. We're going to look at like terms next. That's going to be why that's as reduced as possible. So in your notebook, you are turning to the letter L for the word like terms. Well, words. I'm just doing these alphabetical, so sometimes you might come into, oh wait, I don't know exactly what that word is, but we'll explain it and we'll still put them into the vocabulary if they need to be. It is terms that can be added or subtracted together. They have to have the same variable. And we'll go through some examples in just a little bit. And the variables need to be the same exponent. So, some examples of like terms. Would be 7x, an x, a negative 2x. Because all of those have the same variable with the same exponent, which now means I can do more things to them. Something that's not like terms. 3x and 2y, because they have different letters to them, So an X is not the same as a Y. I think apples and oranges, they're both fruit, but they're not exact same thing. Also, from one of the videos, if you watch that, about teams, they're not on the same team because they would have like different color uniforms. We could have an 8x squared. And then in order to have a like term, I just change that coefficient, so such as like -5, but I need to have an x squared. So same letter, same exponent, and I can throw another one on there as well. Something that's not like terms would be an 8 and a 4x. Those two are not the same things because 4 is being multiplied by something, and an 8 is just 8 of one thing. Like terms are just the numbers that you've been dealing with forever. You've been using like terms and just didn't really realize maybe that that's kind of what they were called. And then one more example of not like terms would be an x and an x squared. Last year you did stuff with area. X squared is kind of like a box, and an x is a line or just the side of the box. So they're not the same thing. They have to have the same variable to them. Next word, we'll go to the letter S for simplify. We have this word and one more. So it's to make an answer as small as you can. And we're going to put a huge note in here. It does not mean the answer is going to come down to one term. Sometimes it can, but does not always mean the answer is one term. So if we were doing 3x plus 4x plus 5, my answer is going to be these two are like terms. These two can be combined. So I would just add those coefficients to get 7x plus 5. This is as simplified as it gets. I can't combine those two, so I'm not able to put those together, and that's a part that a lot of people struggle with. Then our last word is term. I'm going to give you an example first, and then we'll explain it. 5x plus 3y minus 7, that has 3 terms. Each individual piece of an expression separated by an addition or subtraction sign. I really don't get emails and texts except for whenever I'm doing a video. And there's always a train that goes by. Trying to get done before a kid comes in. So if I had something like 3x squared plus 4x plus make that into an 8x squared plus 9. I'm not looking to see what can be combined at first when I'm asking you number of terms. I'm just asking you how many terms. 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. A lot of times I'll ask you number of terms, and then we'll go ahead and simplify. Our terms become important sometimes because we'll be able to say, well, I know if I'm starting here, I should end with this many terms. So we keep coming back to that concept in algebra. Again, all those should be written in your vocabulary notebook so that you have easy access to those.